almost there. Yeah, so look, today I'd really like to discuss just broadly mental health and what are the foundations of like just approaching the question of what does it mean to be mentally healthy, and like trying to gain from your guys' experience how that's looked in your worlds and get your guys' thoughts. Firstly, we'll start with Kevin. Thanks so much for coming along. I'm like super humbled to have someone like you here. Read through your bio, 44 years in the police and all sorts of roles, leadership, training, all sorts of bits and pieces, and now in more sort of leadership roles as well. But I'll let you introduce yourself. How would you like to what would you like to bring forward on the podcast today?
Well, thanks, Levi. I'm humbled to be asked, actually. Appreciate the opportunity to be part of the panel. And Joe, good to be here with you. Nice to meet you a few minutes ago. You're talking about mental health or positive mental health. You're making an assumption that I do have a positive mental health. I guess if I've survived 44 years in New Zealand Police, and although I was in a middle management leadership role for the last few years, I had a frontline focus most of that time. So I guess the fact that I survived, must be something in there.
It's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Amazing service. And then along with that, like you mentioned, 41 years married and a happy family. Like that's amazing effort to do that as well.
A fairly poor return on investment. We had 5 kids. Our youngest is early 30s, and we've only got 5 grandies. So,
come on!
I'll need them to do that part.
Is that climbing though? Is that like early part of the bell curve?
Well, I talk to friends who've had less kids, and they've got 12, 14 grandkids, and I just have to stop them and tell them they're showing off now.
That's awesome.
I feel like Levi's going for your record.
No, I don't know how that.
Well, when you marry a midwife, there's only one way to get staff discount. You've got to keep having kids, you know.
True that, yeah. And then Joe, man, what a CV you've got. Olympic gold medal, 2-time America's Cup champion, firefighter, and now coaching in coastal rowing. Awesome, man.
Yeah, cheers. I guess, I kind of don't step back and look at it enough. But, I guess looking back, I've achieved most 5-year-old boys' dreams of either going to the Olympics or becoming a fireman. And it's pretty cool. It's definitely had its challenges along the way. And I guess this is the appropriate podcast to be talking about mental health, because, hell, it's been a roller coaster and it's never easy. But even right now I'm pretty jet lagged and fatigued, and my kids were wanting to be all over me, but then trying to keep some space as well. It's I'm even battling with it right now, but it's cool to be here and have that discussion.
That's awesome. I really appreciate it. And as you said, like, you just got back from Turkey last night, is that right?
Yeah.
From a big trip. Yeah.
So
Nice.
full jet lag.
Yeah, no, I bet.
No, it's fine. It's
all good. Well, really appreciate you being here. First off, we're just going to start real broad. I would like to just start to get an understanding, so as the conversation goes on, start to get an understanding of what mental health has looked like. You know, we've just discussed the variety and broadness of the roles you guys have held, the environments you've been in. So when you're coming to talk about mental health, Joe, can you just start in maybe your Olympic world and your firefighter world, or whatever world you'd like to start with? When you're talking about mental health, can you start with how that's looked in some environments for you?
I guess almost when I started rowing, you're a teenager and you're pretty young, and you're almost oblivious to the impact that your mental health has on your performances and how you turn up and how you act. You're naive and you're young, and life's pretty easy and stress-free.
Yeah.
And it was kind of simple. I was at school and then I was rowing, and that was pretty basic. I think the extent of being mentally unwell when I was a teenager was like when my parents wouldn't let me take the car when I wanted to go see a nice young girl or something like that, and being really frustrated about that. And looking back, life was pretty simple and pretty sweet. But I guess as I've got older and progressed through my career with rowing and sport, being more aware of everyone around you, and what impacts they can play on your mental health as well. Like if your coach is having a bad day and they bring that to the training session and kind of put it all on you, and all of a sudden you're getting thrashed on the course and you kind of don't understand why it's kind of outside the parameters of what you thought training was going to be, or even if you're not feeling 100%, whether it be unwell or that, but you're yet to turn up to training and still perform. There's lots of different elements to mental health, and there's no rhyme or reason for any one way things happen or work, but it's navigating those things when they hit you at different times.
Yeah. That's awesome. Like, how old would you have been when you started coming across that stuff? Like, how much mental health impacts your performance?
I was probably kind of only aware of it. Like, I think you deal with mental health your whole life,
Sure.
whether you're aware of it or not. It's, I guess, emotionally regulating and all that kind of stuff. But when you become more aware of it and what impacts it has around you, is when you start appreciating it a bit more. And I guess even when I was a teenager, having a girlfriend that was struggling mentally, and then I'd take that back to training and people would be wondering why I wasn't performing like I should have been, and probably had too much on my mind at the time. But as I got older, having the availability of a sports psych and being able to talk things through definitely put everything way more into perspective. And looking back, you kind of deal with things normally, but then when you're aware of your mental health more, you have way more tools of how to approach it and how to look after yourself better. Yeah.
That's awesome. I really like it. No, that's seriously cool. And Kevin, for you, you've been like, obviously, I'm interested in, you've got extensive years in leadership roles and working with a lot of people in acute stress situations and all sorts of things. In your career experience, how would you summarise mental health?
Well, I guess to put a bit of context around it, I spent just over 10 years as a road policing manager for the Bay of Plenty.
Yep.
So back in that era, we were averaging 70 plus fatal crashes a year. So I would attend most of them and or review the files on all of them. Plus I was one of the national commanders on the national DVI, which is the Disaster Victim Identification Team. So you could say, well, that's pretty gruesome work, that's pretty hardcore, but having access to good services to debrief is important. But I think for positive mental health, where I sit now, it's really easy because you're looking back. But when you're in the middle of it, it's not so easy. So I guess for me, if I'm reflecting, it's having good people around you, good, solid, stable relationships. For me, it's my wife. So we've been married just over 41 years. So, and I've said to a number of other people, I have the privilege of being married to my best friend.
Yeah, awesome.
So having an ear that is available to listen is really good. Keeping positive people around you. So if you surround yourself with negativity, with negative people, it's going to drag you down. But I guess for me, holding things lightly. I'd come home from work when our kids were little, having been to scenes of utter devastation and tragedy, but you can't bring that home. You have to make choices about separating things out. And being able to debrief, and I guess in some ways having a sense of humour and retaining a sense of humour is really important.
Yep.
You take life too seriously, it'll be over before you know it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, I guess in our job that's where dark humour comes in. It's a weird thing to think about when you're talking to a normal person, but yeah, it's kind of comedy has its place in making something super serious kind of dissolve a little bit with the impact that it can have on you.
Look, there are conversations I can't have, and you're right about dark humour. That has been historically, and I don't know what it's like now, I suspect it's becoming less palatable for this current generation, and I don't know quite how they're going to get around that. But dark humour was a really good way of unwinding. You can't express those things to people who are not part of that environment. So fireys, police, ambulance staff, ED staff, doctors, they understand this. Military to a lesser extent, they get it.
Yeah.
But I can't have conversations about things I've done and things I've seen with people that don't understand the context.
Not at all. Yeah.
Because either goes over their head, or they just look at you with this blank expression.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that I find I have found it in the past quite confronting. How do you, except people ask you, so what was it like?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you really don't want to know.
Yeah.
Because if I told you, the conversation will be over pretty quickly, you know?
Yeah. I've had plenty of those conversations.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So you know exactly what we're talking about.
It's picking and choosing who you have that chat with as well, and who you're sharing that story with. Yeah, not everyone's capable of processing some of the things we're exposed to,
Exactly.
or even understanding some of the things we're exposed to. Yeah. It's just not normal to them.
No.
Yeah.
And it's not anything to be held against them either. If that's how your life is, that's pretty sweet. If you haven't seen that trauma or that experience, it's a pretty cool place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I hear there. Do you think, now this is going off script, just following, do you think sometimes people sensationalize what some of those experiences are? Like, I don't know. In my experience now, certainly, like your experience in road policing was far more regular, but like the incidents that I've gone to, they almost, in a way that I can't really explain, they kind of just seem normal. You got that place where you just file it, and like that was work. You take your gloves off, or whatever it is, and it's filed and behind you in a way. And then when people are like, oh, that must be really hard, I don't know, what's your guys' response to that? Because for me, it's kind of like, not really. I don't know.
I'll tell you where it hits home, and I'll give you a couple of examples, and I'm just conscious I need to be not so vague that it doesn't mean anything, but sufficiently vague that whoever gets to see this podcast won't identify the incident. I've been to one crash in particular. There were 4 kids died. Tragic situation. And their parents and grandparents were in cars following. So I'm second on the scene for this. You click into professional mode when you're dealing with that and the utter tragedy, and you're trying to comfort a grieving grandmother, and you've got all these bodies in the cars and on the road. But the thing that I struggled with for a little while and had to really come to grips with was those kids were the same age as my own.
Right.
And then you roll forward a few years to when your kids have a driver's license and they're driving on the same roads where you've been to these incidents. So there's not many roads in the entire Bay of Plenty where you can drive past one of those little white crosses that I look at and go, oh yeah, I remember that. And that comes flooding back. Not in a negative way, but I guess one of the things I have to be really careful of in dealing with stress levels or maintaining a positive mental outlook is not letting an incident that occurred on a particular day allow me to project onto someone else, you must do this or you must do that. But it does sit with you. So I know I drive on these roads. My kids drive their cars on the same roads that I've been to these tragedies. That's something, I have to live with that.
Yeah.
But you've just got to learn to deal with it.
Yeah, I guess I can speak to that as well, because my father was also in the police, and I think as a teenager, I always found him very overprotective, and I wasn't allowed to do certain things, and I could never understand why. But now that I've been in this job and I've experienced those same things that he went through, like the complete understanding of why he was trying to be protective, it resonates a lot more. And I kind of wish back then he almost was able to communicate the things better. But at the same time, I understand that communicating that would have also been really traumatic for him as well. So yeah, it's a weird kind of situation, but completely understandable.
Yeah.
I mean, look, as a parent, you want to protect your children. You want to guard them from, let's be honest, the evil in the world. There's no other way of putting it.
Yeah.
And you want to protect them from harm. And I remember talking at our oldest son's wedding, giving that perspective. Although at the time, he was a detective. He's now a detective sergeant with police. But he'd spent 18 months on the child protection team in a district where that is very, very hardcore. So on one hand, here I am as a parent wanting to protect your children, but on the other hand, here's my son who's followed me into the same organisation and is now being exposed professionally to the worst of the worst behaviours in human nature. That I found quite confronting.
Yeah. Can only imagine.
It would be confronting, but I guess in that regard, he probably respects what you have done to be able to follow that, and you've also given him the tools to be able to deal with being in those situations as well. So, yeah, it's different.
Fully agree, and like, I think that sort of leans a lot into what I'd like to go into next, where I'd like to discuss. You know, we've discussed what sort of mental health looks like. Now sort of going into what are the foundations of what makes, I think pretty much every time you've mentioned it as positive mental health. And that shows a really, you know, like, you're clued on that, like, there is such thing as negative mental health as well. So it's not just it's discussing mental health in general, but every time you're saying positive mental health, and that's a really interesting point. What are the foundations that you guys have seen that creates either the strongest individuals, either in yourself or the individuals around you? What's the foundation that's like that's the foundation of strong mental health?
I was just thinking about it because it keeps coming up, and I don't know why it keeps coming up, but maybe it's just because it resonates with me. But I look at mental health the same as that old kind of proverb about the two wolves. One's really dark and one's really light. One's good, one's bad, and the question is which one gets stronger, and it just comes down to which one you feed. It's the positive. And mental health's the same. Like, people would hear the stuff that we're exposed to and think that surely we must snap because it just must build up and then break you. But at the same time, no one ever talks about the strength that being exposed to things like that can create. So you build a mental toughness or a mental strength in dealing with those situations. If you let the negatives keep dragging you down, then everything becomes very cloudy and it can overwhelm you. But if you look after your mental health and you check in with positive people and you unload some of the impacts that happen to you, like Kimberly was saying, having a best friend and your wife and having mates that you can kind of discuss these things with builds that strength and that resolve. So then those things that can slowly chip away at you and break you don't become those big things. You can keep them at bay, or you can dissolve them a little bit and keep that strength up. So yeah, I think that's a super important thing. Is it all depends which one you want to feed, whether it's the negative or the positive, and the positive can always outweigh the negative.
Yeah, totally agree with what you feed, and attitude is important. Look, I'd have to be clear here. I'm conscious there are some people who struggle with mental health through no fault of their own, and have either a chemical imbalance, or there is things which either physically, neurologically, or in their background, which are more than we've had to deal with. And I can see that immediately. So it's all very well for me to say, I just harden up, get on with it, you know. No, life is not like that. It will be simple, it'll be great if it was. Here, tick this box, take this pill, happy ever after. Well, that's not been my experience. So I can see that absolutely. But again, what you feed and what you focus on is actually really important. And I agree.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with what you're saying. There's no one way for anyone in mental health.
Yeah.
I've had many friends that I've talked to about this, and every single one of them does it differently and has their own kind of way that if they were struggling, how they got through it. And yeah, I think it's just finding that thing for yourself, and even being open to finding that thing for yourself. I know there's lots of people that are struggling with mental health, and you can try to be as positive as you want around them or give them all the tools that they could use, but at the end of the day it has to be something that they find that works for them.
So choice is actually important as well. So we all have choices in life. And again, I'll concede, some people's choices are very limited because their background and the hand they've been dealt is not what we've had. And I'm conscious that in my life, although I've seen a lot and I have suffered as well, but I've been dealt a fairly blessed hand, and I've chosen to be positive. So you have choice in this. But I think I've forwarded you a video of our daughter, the athlete, she's now a paracyclist.
Yeah, awesome.
One of the lessons we went through with her is it's not how many times you fall down or get knocked down, it's how many times you get up that matters.
Absolutely.
And even with the worst hand someone's dealt, you still have the choice to get back up.
Yeah.
So if you stay down, that's not going to work. It's not going to be for anyone's benefit, least of all your own.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important.
Yeah. Basically, next sort of topic, I suppose, or carrying on the foundations thing. I wouldn't mind going over some of the I guess more scientific stuff I've learnt, and just seeing how I think already it's pretty obvious to see how it relates to what you guys are saying. As far as like both of you have mentioned, it's the people around you, choosing how you view things, and I think just it's your social scene, right? Like it's a lot to do with. Yeah, like for me, I think the reason why, like people ask if some of the scenes in firefighting, affects me and whatnot. But I think growing up, Dad was a police officer, Mum was a nurse. Both my brothers in and around Fens as well. Hannah's a midwife and worked in Middlemore for like 5 years, seen some pretty, been in some pretty tense situations in that environment. Everyone around me gets it. Yeah. So I feel like there's no weight to carry because I can just offload, I can share everything. There's no, I don't have to pull any punches with the people around me. No. I think that's why I find the weight so light sometimes,
But like Kevin was saying before, there's people out there that don't get that choice.
Yeah.
They don't have those people around them that...
Yeah.
It's probably more important, almost discussing for them what would be a good... I don't know. It's something that you can't just solve though, is it? It's always a discussion, and everything's always different for different people.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just dealt a shit hand, and...
Yep. That's right. And
how
then
do you make the most of it?
That goes into, like as Kevin was saying, it is different for everybody. And like, I guess some of the science stuff is around, it's chemical, there's physical parts of the brain might not develop. So there's genetics, there's social and environmental, so many factors that plug into mental health. That when it comes to one individual's, like I guess that's, we're not here to diagnose and solve people's problems. We're here just to, like, I guess hopefully get a bit of a broader understanding. So some of the science stuff goes over, resilience is one tool that I think some of my studies have focused on a bit, being the concept of bouncing forward, and that requires a strong foundation, community, culture, like different cultures view death differently. Different cultures view like events that we would find absolutely catastrophic are just almost daily events in other cultures. Another concept that went over in some of my studies the Tifari Tapiwha model, which is it's like a marae, where it's spiritual, mental, social, family, and then the grounds, the roots so that goes over that your foundations, your environment, your social scene, and a lot about belonging and identity. So I feel like that touches on what you guys have already said a lot, but with those sort of, I guess if that's what the science is bringing forward, are there any, from your experience, can you speak to any of those points where it's like, that's either worked or maybe hasn't worked for someone who's, like, I guess, if I was to frame it as a question, Kevin, you've been in leadership in a lot of different roles. Can you think of your time working with those people who are exposed to high levels of stress, where you've had to, without disclosing all their personal information, but just, I guess, those dynamic situations where someone might be struggling with something and you've got to...
Yeah, I can do that. So I know we've spoken a lot about death-related incidents. That's one aspect. I'll just comment on part of your introduction there. Western culture doesn't do grieving and death particularly well. If you compare that to Taupo Māori, the Māori world, if you compare that to the Polynesian world and to many other cultures around the world, who actually, in my view anyway, celebrate a life and allow a significant time for grieving. They don't hide it, they don't shrug it off, they don't put on a brave face and internalise it. They let it all out, and then they move on with life after a given period. And I think there is a degree of healthy cultural, you call it a lens or aspect to that. I guess coming back from talking about death and dying, there's lots of other things which impact on our mental health. So, stress-related things. I often hear people say, "Oh, such and such makes me angry," or I just bumped into Joe the other day, and man, he made me angry. So, my response to that is, why would you give your personal sovereignty to someone else?
Yes.
Yeah. And they go, "Well, what do you mean?" He says, "Well, if you're telling me this person or this situation makes you angry, you've handed control of your emotions, of your identity, of your personal sovereignty to something or someone else. Choose not to."
Yeah.
So no one makes me angry. I choose to get angry. I choose to allow things. Now, sometimes that choice is pretty limited, and it's really, really hard not to. Don't get me wrong, I do get pissed off at times. You ask my wife, she'll tell you.
Yeah.
Normally it's because I can't find a spanner I just put down 2 seconds before in the shed. But, which is a funny thing about mental health and stress, I can go to scenes of utter devastation and tragedy and deal with it calmly. And then I'm in the shed and I can't find the screwdriver I'm looking for, and the whole world falls apart. Different thing, I know.
Yeah.
But I think it's...
I'd actually... Yeah, sorry.
Go on.
Step in there, but I actually found that was when I found myself not being okay, is when I noticed the small things at home started triggering my anger, and that's when I actually started reaching out for a bit more help. Like, you can be all put together at work and you can put on a brave face in front of your colleagues and your mates, and then when you get home, it's when those little niggles and the things that have been compounding, you start releasing onto your significant others. And the stress of, like, I remember talking to one mate and it was just about a dishwasher and no one could ever stack the dishwasher properly. And then as soon as I heard that, I was like, man, I've done that same thing, just getting angry about it's either stacked this way or it's stacked that way and it's not done how I want it, and being grumpy about it. And that's when I first triggered to go and see someone about what was happening. But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's just those little things.
And actually, quite often, those small incidents are a really good litmus test as to whether or not you are stressed yourself. And it's, I guess, having a healthy mental state is either being aware of that so you can seek help, or allowing some other significant person in your life, giving them permission to speak into your life.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, Levi, if you see me doing this, please tell me.
Yeah.
You know, but that takes a degree of trust and relationship build up to do that, you know. And it's having those people around you, I think, is a really, really good safeguard.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it then, like, good mental health is not about doing it by yourself. It's allowing people you trust to be the ear that you need to talk to, or be that person to hold you accountable when something really needs to be held accountable.
Yeah.
And being able to accept that from them as well.
I think the other thing is getting to a stage in life. It's easy for me because I'm old. I mean, I can prove it. I've got a gold card, you know. I'm officially old, or at least my kids will tell me that. And I've forgotten where I was going with that. Oh,
It's reiterating that.
Yeah. No, you don't need to reiterate my age.
You don't need to prove it that much, Kevin.
Is holding things lightly.
Yeah.
You know, when I look back, you know, I have the benefit of hindsight, and, you know, 20/20 anal vision is a wonderful thing. Be lovely to have those kind of insights at the time. But when you look back at, again, the little things that triggered you, and when I look back at stuff which I thought was really, really important at the time, and now, with the benefit of hindsight, you go, did it really matter? In the whole big scheme of life,
Yeah.
things that we put significant emphasis on actually aren't that important. You know, there are relationships, family, you know, friends.
Yeah.
These are the important things in life.
Yeah.
Other things, it's like, yeah, at the time it sucked. If I'd had a choice, would I have wanted a different outcome? Probably. But did the world stop turning?
Yeah.
You know? Benefit of hindsight. You know?
Man. That's awesome insight. That's solid gold. I feel like
Yeah, it's easy now, but I tell you, back then, not so easy. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, again, disregarding script. You mentioned before as well, it's the little things you choose, or you give other people the power to sort of determine how you're feeling. In your perspective, experience, is that I feel like my generation's really bad at it. Like, I feel like a lot of people around me are like, they just instantly like play the victim card maybe a bit too much, and then it's so, well, now if you've given them full authority over how you're feeling, I feel like that's a really common problem around at the moment.
Yep.
Is that generational, or is it just perspective?
Well, you can open a big door here.
Okay. We can cross all of this out.
Have you ever heard the expression, when I was your age?
Yeah.
So, you know, for someone my age to say that, that's the dumbest thing you can say to a teenager or to someone in their 20s.
Yeah.
And the reason it's quite simple. I was never your age. Because when I was your chronological age, the world, was so radically different to what it is now. The things you're exposed to, the issues you have to contend with, the access to information. You know, back when I was a teenager, Get Smart was a cool, you know, I don't know if you've ever seen the...
Yeah, I've seen the remake.
Go look at the archives. It was the, you know, one of the best comedies on telly. And they had all these wonderful gadgets around, you know, a shoe phone and satellite this, and we could have this video over there, and it's like, that was science fiction. Roll forward, I can pick up your phone on a video call in seconds to someone on the far side of the world with crystal clarity, both visually and audibly. And if you roll back to when I was a teenager in my 20s, and he said, oh, this is going to happen, I go, yeah, no, it's happening now. It's on the movies.
Yeah.
But that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
So, what am I trying to say? For younger people, it's a real problem because a lot of people have their self-image and self-worth in their devices, and how many likes I've got, how many friends. Their validation is in a a piece of plastic connected to the internet, and it's like, that's really dangerous in my view. It's really, really serious.
Yeah. It's very true.
You know, I don't want to be too negative, but if that's the way the Western world or the world's going, we're screwed.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah, I don't think it's even the Western world. Like, I've
The
just
entire
come back
world.
from Turkey, and everyone's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
It's everywhere now.
If you pay attention to opinions on social media, to what people are saying, you're dead in the water. You know, if you really want to have a good, positive mental health, turn that thing off. Walk away.
Critical thinking is becoming less and less. You can absolutely feed any theory that you have. There's going to be a bunch of people that have that same theory as well.
Yep. And the sad thing is, I know we're digressing a bit from the script, but in terms of mental health, you've now got the rise of AI. So if you want to maintain a good mental health, actually I'm thinking of the best way to describe it, a good way to retain a positive outlook and good mental health is to have your opinions, your attitudes and your thoughts rooted in truth, in fact.
Yeah.
So the big problem now, particularly with the rise of the internet, social media, now with AI, is how does any individual discern right from wrong, truth from error, fact from falsehood? That's, in my view, going forward, the really big issue. Yeah. So you've heard the expression, people going down rabbit holes. That's going to destroy your mental health really quickly, because people accept as truth, and I'm not going to mention any particular issue of the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, because there's plenty of them.
Even in just the last week, there's plenty.
Pick an issue. People will anchor themselves and chain themselves to a particular point of view, so it doesn't matter what evidence you present or what truth you present. They've already anchored themselves to that.
The conviction's already there.
Yeah. So the sad thing is, if you anchor yourself to something which is objectively, reality-wise, not true, the outcome's not going to be good.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be a good outcome. No. Sorry, go off.
No,
monopolise the conversation here.
Absolutely.
I'll eat a sausage, you carry on.
No, I was thinking about that as well. It's a terrifying kind of time, even for Levi and myself, with young kids, what they're going to be exposed to. You hope sometimes in history you can see it fluxing and things get out of balance, but I do hope that there can be a balance come back from AI, that it can be used positively instead of negatively. But like you said, it's the rabbit hole is getting bigger and bigger, and it's all about which one you want to jump into.
How did you start that conversation?
I don't know how we got down there. How did we come back out of it?
Pause back in the line. Come on.
The cool thing is that I guess it's a bit encouraging because, you know, in my studies I'm seeing this stuff, and I guess this is the purpose of the podcast, is that I feel like the world is so polarized at the moment and so digital, everyone's forgotten how to have a chat. So that's like the purpose of this, is like, if you've got an opinion, that's cool. Don't bother going online. Fire at the barbecue, talk to some mates about it. Maybe there'll be a bit more reality there than what you might find on, you know, like. But
well, you've heard the anecdote. You know, opinions are like a certain part of your anatomy.
Yes.
Everybody's got one. Sometimes it's not best to show it in public.
100%. No one wants to know about it, right? Yeah, so it's kind of encouraging to hear, like, you know, I know it's a rabbit hole that we just went down in the conversation, but it's good. It's
But I think it's really important if you've got parents, you know, raising kids, and I'm lucky because luck is what you make it, but our kids are all grown up, but just don't fall into the trap. Don't ever say when I was your age.
Yeah.
Because you never were.
Yeah.
You know?
That's cool.
When I was 15, the phone was in a red box on the street, and it was two 2-cent coins to call home,
Yeah.
but you learn how to tap the thing to get it for free. Try that on yourself. I'm confessing all my ill.
No, I like it.
But kind of going off what you're saying is you're never that age, but history weirdly repeats itself.
Yeah.
And not to say you weren't at that age, but everyone is exposed to different things, and throughout history we've always thought that major thing was going to be the end of the world. Like right now we think AI is going to destroy us. In 2000 we thought like the internet was going to do it, and the world was going to crash in 2020, like in the year 2000.
Y2K.
Yeah, but even looking back, I'm not going to get the facts right on this, but I remember listening to a podcast from Matt Heath, and he was talking about Julius Caesar, and they were going through his memoirs or his writings back then, and it was almost the same. Like he kind of talked about it and then asked people what they thought about it, and they thought he was like in this time, in our present time, talking about like having troubles with his kids and his wife and all that stuff, and it was almost 2,500 years ago. So throughout history we've always had a problem or a thing that seems like we're never going to get past it, but somehow the human race always does. So it's important to, although these things are terrifying and scary, I think we're always going to find a balance somehow, even though it sometimes seems like we're not.
Yeah, and I think that actually plays on mental health as well.
Yeah.
If you take a Judeo-Christian worldview from the year about AD 70, or maybe just a little bit, AD 65, the end of the world has been imminent.
Oh yeah.
Nearly 2,000 years.
Yeah.
If you look at different group doomsday sects and those who say the end of the world, and the only thing that is true and consistent of that is every individual or group that's put a date on it has been wrong. And that date's passed and they're consigned to history and we carry on.
Yeah.
But I think, again, that's where your positive outlook and positive worldview. The world's going to end. Yeah, you're going to die. And do I just sit here and spend my whole time focused on the end of the world, or whether I die first, or do I get on with living? You know?
Yeah.
I guess there was I love movies and I love music. There was a quote out of a movie. It's The Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Good show.
Yeah,
Good show.
good movie.
Not exactly the quote you're going to
You
say.
say? So I have a choice.
Yeah.
I either get on dying or get on living.
Get busy living.
Get busy dying or get busy living. You know,
Yeah.
so you know the
So
quote.
good.
Yeah.
And I think that applies across the spectrum. You know,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
cool movie too.
That's a great movie. Yeah, I didn't see it coming. I was like, what? That's good.
it's a good one on mental health as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being wrongly accused and then being put in prison.
Just found a way to crack on, eh?
Yeah.
We will come back to this stuff shortly. Shall we? While we're like straying, shall we try playing a game? Should be a quick game. Do you have to go pick up kids soon?
I need to top up.
Hey?
We're good at the moment.
Okay.
20 minutes.
I just have basically one more question. Yep, top up your drinks. The way this game works, it's just a bit of a laugh, really. Hopefully, that's the idea. It's based on the idea you hear everyone around us saying, "Oh, that's the worst," right? Have you ever heard someone say, "Oh"?
I'm also competitive, so as long as I win, it's okay.
No, unfortunately,
You're sitting with an
you're sitting in the middle, so you're the victim. Unfortunately, yeah. I'm sorry about that. So the idea is, it's just a laugh, just to get some ideas out there. 5 things are going to happen to Kevin, and he's going to without Joe and I seeing, he's going to rate them from bad to worst. So someone's gone through the effort of thinking up like 100 and 200 and something worst case scenarios. Yep. Kevin's going to rank them from bad to worst with his chips, and then Joe and I have to discuss and guess how Kevin has ranked them. Cool?
All right, come on in.
So Kevin, you have to remove a dart from your own neck, live with a really slow internet connection,
Ooh, yeah.
discover your spouse is a wanted criminal, oh, rough, house is falling into a sinkhole, or maneuver on top of a moving train and get inside. So,
Are these challenges or?
yeah, these are worst case scenarios. I don't know how it works. So
Some of
put your
these sound
chips
like
upside
fun.
down so we can't see. rank them from bad to worse, and then Joe and I are going to try and guess how you rank.
So 1 is worst or bad?
1 is bad, 5 is worst.
5 is the worst.
Yeah, and everything in between.
Ooh.
Some of them actually sound kind of fun.
Yeah, one of them, because we did a test route with my brothers, one of them was ride passenger at Indy 500, at the Indy 500.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, that's not a bad case scenario.
Right, there you go.
All right, what do you reckon, Joe? I reckon for starting with the worst.
Are we going worst to best?
Yeah. For a member who served 44 years in the police, been married for 41 years, finding out his wife was a wanted criminal, that's going to be pretty bad, isn't it?
I was going to say the internet connection.
No, not on how badly I react. That would be the worst reaction.
Trying to stream a movie and it's just buffering.
Come on!
Or
We're just about to find out.
What is wrong with the internet again?
Get busy living or get busy...
Yeah.
What? Just say it!
Want me to turn it over?
Not yet, we're gonna put our chips
we're
down.
gonna
So
You guys get to guess.
we're gonna go 5, the internet connection. Is that the worst?
Oh. It's kind of being funny, but
House is falling into
probably
a
the
sinkhole.
spouse.
The
Like you
spouse?
said. Then the
That's house falling into sinkholes are pretty major. Is that horrible?
Yeah.
Going with horrible. Maneuver on top of it, getting inside it. I think that sounds like.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're successfully doing
I feel like
it,
that's
that's
the
fun.
easiest.
Yeah. Live with. Oh, that's. Would you rather lose your house to a sinkhole or live with a slow internet connection?
I put it as 2.
2?
3, maybe.
I think. So 3 is the internet connection, and 2 is the dart inside of your neck. Is that what
Yep.
we're going with? All right.
You almost need
How
to have a
confident
camera
are
on
you?
top of this because
Yeah.
no one in the podcast can actually see this.
True that.
So for the benefit of the podcast, number 5, they nailed.
Nice.
Discover your spouse is a wanted criminal. Number 4, they've nailed.
Oh, look at
House
that.
falls into a sinkhole.
So far, so good.
That's successful for me.
So-
It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, we got
could lose from
2
here.
out of 5. That's a
So
fire service
that's where
pass,
things
isn't
come
it?
unstuck.
Yeah.
So as much fun as manoeuvring on top of a moving train would be,
Yeah, fair enough.
yeah, the element of danger
Yeah.
and risk there.
I suppose you're getting old now.
Yeah. so you're right there.
So, yeah, we got the
I
dart
really
from
don't
Nick.
care about if the internet died and disappeared tomorrow.
You'd be fine.
Actually, life would go on. I'd be
Wow,
quite
that's
happy with it.
a generational difference.
It's probably a generational thing, yeah. So,
in saying
not
that,
bad.
yeah, the internet thing. Like I just took my kids down the Sounds a while ago, and I thought it was going to be the hardest thing in the world, not having like an iPad or something to stream or even their thing. They had the best frickin' time in the world, and it was humbling to even think that there was a doubt in our heads
That's awesome.
that they wouldn't be able to deal with it.
Yeah.
And just watching kids be kids, like they were running outside, they didn't complain once the whole time we were there.
Right, that's
And
seriously
it,
cool.
yeah, it made me super proud, and then also made me realise we should cut down on TV and YouTube and shit like that. So it was actually a really positive thing in our lives.
There's a quote in one of the books I've got at home. When I was younger, I did a little bit of mountaineering. I kid myself that I can still do it, but the brain says yeah, the body says yeah, not sure.
Yeah.
And the quote is this: the thing I like about mountaineering is it strips life back to its bare essentials.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where I park the car. It doesn't matter what's happening on the stock market. It doesn't matter who's in power, who's in the opposition, what the price of petrol is. All that matters is where I put my foot, where I put my hands, what I'm doing on the face of a mountain. That's it. Your focus goes from here to here. Nothing else matters. And, you know, to illustrate your point with the kids, if you take away all these other things, it helps you to focus on what's right in front of you.
Exactly.
I love it. That's really cool. one more question. I know we got kids to pick up from school, so I want to respect our timings. Yeah. So we've discussed, we've gone over, it's just awesome, talking about our connections, the people around us, focusing on what matters, choosing to focus on and how that influences your mental health. We've discussed how the internet and digital stuff affects that. We've gone into so many things. I feel like I've learned so much and really encouraged to hear about it, and really excited about, these are all topics that my wife and I have already been discussing about what we could discuss on here in the future, and it's just exciting to hear so much about it from your guys' perspectives and real rich experience. So with all that in mind, I've got stacks of key takeaways, but I want to just quickly see if we can quickly discuss. Before we were addressing how it's the people around you that are going to notice first, right? It's the little things that frustrate you, like not being able to find a screwdriver. You're going to notice something in your mate. So, Joe, your experience as a rowing coach now, Kevin, I don't know what part of your experience to touch on. When you need to check in with a mate, when you need to check in on someone that maybe isn't handling life as well as they could, should, whatever, how can we practically, how have you in the past seen it done, check in on friends and family?
It's a tough one, but I've tried to do this with a few of my mates now. You almost have to show, it's not weakness, but show, what would you call it? Show that you understand and that you're not trying to fix them. You're just there to listen and just being available for them. As vulnerability, that's what I was looking for. Show that you've been vulnerable, you've been in that space before, and make it okay for them to reach out. I think sometimes we don't realise what's going on in people's lives. Everyone can put on a brave face, and at face value everything looks sweet, but at home it could be a completely different story. So showing that you're vulnerable and you're understanding, so they're not terrified to reach out and talk to you when they need to.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. So being vulnerable is actually really important. A couple of things I'd say is you actually need to earn the right to speak into someone's life. It would be presumptuous and arrogant of me, having just met Joe, to say, a couple of things from today's conversation I've noticed, if you don't mind, if you don't mind, and of course the natural response you should say is, well, actually, I do mind because I haven't given you permission. And it's earning the right to speak into someone's life. And that's a big deal. So that comes with time and humility and building relationship. If you pick up your phone, there's no app for relationship. You can't go, oh, here we go, push that app. Great, now I'm sorted. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes vulnerability. And there's it's one of my favourite verses in one of the minor prophets in the Old Testament. It says, I've told you what to do. This is, God speaking to whatever. It says, love, do justly, love mercy, walk humbly. So the balance between justice and mercy when you're talking to someone who needs some support, there's a balance between, hey, I'm with you, I want to support you, but I also need to tell you some hard lessons, some hard truths, coupled with humility. So it's not like, hey, look, I've got it all together, I know all the answers, trust me, I'm the man. It's like, actually, I haven't got it all together, but I'm happy to walk with you humbly so we can walk together. But you have to earn the right to do that.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, so I think for me, my key takeaways from what we've discussed, the foundations of mental health are strong community, strong network around you, knowing who your people are, who you can count on, reality, not getting caught up in all the disinformation, everything that's out there, knowing what's real, and then when it comes to that connecting with people, it's vulnerability and humility. I love it. That's unbelievable key takeaways. So I really appreciate it. I was quite nervous about this. This is my first time filming something like this, so I just wanted, like...
Here's me thinking you were the pro.
Yeah, I had you fooled.
Well, that's no great challenge. That's really easy.
Yeah, look, I just want to really appreciate both of you coming and sharing so vulnerably and being so humble to come on, share openly. I'm really stoked that I'm going to get to talk to both of you again soon. I think we've got dates booked in again with both of you, which is super cool. I feel like we've only just started to scratch the surface of your stories, but amazing stories. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Any closing comments from you guys?
Seems like a good start.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's going to be a cool podcast going forward, I think. We're only scratching the surface, so yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure I can add anything to that, so yeah, no, thank you. It's been a privilege.
No, really appreciate it.